Hello, happy Monday. Deep breath. So much going on right now in the world um, that we all just kind of need a minute, right, to kind of get it back together and breathe. So, one of the things I want to talk about today is neuroresilience. And I want to talk to you about this because it's a term that might sound familiar, but a lot of people are like, I'm not exactly sure what that means. But what I can tell you is if you understand it better and you have a high score of it, then you're going to be more likely to live the life that you're looking for. You're more likely going to have better relationships, better physical health, better emotional health, better spiritual connection. You're going to be more likely to make more money, live more happily, be happier at your job or your career, and overall score yourself at a higher level for happiness. So let's talk about what neuroresilience is so that you guys can just at least get a feel for what it is that I'm talking about today. So neuroresilience is a term that means the ability to navigate obstacles, regulate emotions, and maintain well-being. It's 100% necessary to thrive and avoid dysregulation, because dysregulation is bad. So dysregulation, when your body is dysregulated, when you feel dysregulated, when you feel out of balance, when you feel out of sorts, when you don't feel in control, this has an emotional and physical and mental impact on you. This can be impacting your hormone balance, your energy levels. It could be directly impacting things like thyroid response. So if you think about your body's physical manifestation of your life experience, think about your body. And if it's giving you signs like you wake up tired even though you slept all night, if you're having hormone imbalance, if you're struggling through perimenopause or menopause, if you have a thyroid condition, if you have an autoimmune disease, if you have digestive distress, if you have pain that you can't understand, or even if you do understand it, if you have ongoing pain, these are all signs that your body is dysregulated. It is out of balance and it's out of sorts. And then those things then have an impact on your ability to be the weight that you want to be. It has an impact on how you manage situations and you handle stress. It has impact on how your body manages things. So if you were struggling with relationships in your life, if you were struggling with apathy, if you were struggling with depression, anxiety, if you don't know what you want to be when you grow up, if you're feeling lack of enthusiasm, if you're feeling that you need to pivot, but you don't know what to do about that, if you're just kind of feeling blah, these are all signs that your body is dysregulated. It is not balanced. And when you have neuroresilience, you have the ability to manage obstacles and challenges that are in your way. You're able to manage and regulate your emotions. That doesn't mean you don't have them. It means that you're able to not be triggered. And if you do feel a trigger, you're able to manage that trigger, feel the emotion, have the experience, but not spin out, not go into PTSD, not go into panic, not be fully triggered. And you're able to dissolve that triggered response, but still have a connection. And a lot of people, when they manage their emotions, what they're really doing is they're squashing the ability to feel the emotion or disassociating with it, disconnecting with it, and not having the experience. So what happens is that emotion, that emotional cycle that they're in at that moment doesn't get completed. So it gets moved off to the side, it doesn't get processed, and it gets stuck. For many of us, that's where trauma begins. In that stuckness, in that inability to dissolve, manage, govern, experience the event. So if you get used to a pattern of being able to shut down an emotion and move it forward, or move it, I'm sorry, not even forward, off to the side, and you don't actually experience it fully and complete the cycle, you get stuck. And then that's a pattern of trauma that continues to build and build and build. And other similar experiences then build on that past trauma. This is now creating a heaviness or a weight to your ability to be resilient. And the heavier that weight becomes, the harder it is to get out of the experience or get out of that response and be able to bounce back. Resilience is bouncing back, right? And just think about it in a literal sense. Let's say we went to the gym and I piled on a 5-pound weight and told you to squat. And then I gave you another 5-pound weight and told you to squat. And I gave you another and another and another. And now you're up to 50 pounds. Now you're up to 100 pounds. Now you're up to 200 pounds. At some point, that weight is going to be too much for you to be able to squat and stand back up. And in fact, some of the times, even if you were able to stand up, you may have injured yourself or strained something in the process of trying to squat down and stand back up with this amount of weight. And there is a point where you're no longer able to get back up, or in the process of getting back up, you injure yourself to the point where you fall and you drop the weight. Well, just because you've dropped the weight doesn't mean that the injury isn't still there. Now, I want you to think of that weight as being the emotional stress that comes into you every day. If you are not building the ability, the strength to manage and bounce back from lifting that emotional weight, you may in fact begin to start straining, pulling in different resources, trying to stand up with this emotional weight. And at some point it breaks you, or it causes something to be injured or broken or strained. And you need to be able to come back from that. Well, if you don't have the ability to bounce back, you have to stop. And everything else around you has to stop while you are trying to repair the injured place. And then now you have to take all of this time because now you've burned out or you've injured something. And now you have to go through the process of fixing that injury. Now, a lot of times what people will do is they'll fix the injury, they'll go through the experience, but they won't change the behavior that got them injured in the first place. So if you're doing this emotionally and you're not changing the experience that got you injured in the first place, even if you're able to come back and repair from that emotional stressed injury, taking on too much weight, you're going to end up back in the same place because you're going to re-injure yourself because you actually haven't developed the skills, the ability to bounce back and regulate emotions and maintain your well-being. So you're going to repeat the cycle and you're going to repeat the cycle and you repeat the cycle. So when you have NeuroResilience and you're high on the NeuroResilience scale, you're able to handle those obstacles and those challenges because you're building up the foundation and the understanding and the tools that you need with the support that you need in order to manage the situation, but not squish it off and push it to the side and ignore it. You're changing the behavior that got you there in the first place, and you're using the tools and you're learning the skills to get into a place where you're strong enough to carry on another weight, or even better, you learn when to say no before the weight becomes too much and causes injury or causes you to break. And when you learn those skills and you start to develop those skills and they become a pattern, they become part of who you really are, you don't have to try. It's an easy process for you to stand up with that emotional stress or that weight because you've learned how to balance it. You've learned when too much is too much. And you're not in a constant state of cycle of repairing the injury because you're not getting injured. You're either stopping before the injury occurs, you know the warning signs that you know to slow down or pull back, or you ask for help carrying the weight, lifting it up. It's not just you lifting it anymore. So NeuroResilience, the stronger you are, the more your ability is to manage the challenges that come in. And as a NeuroResilience expert, I understand what it takes to maintain high levels of success when there's a lot of challenges and a lot of stressors coming at you. Also, as a person who throughout my life, I've been a high achiever. I've had to learn when too much was too much. And a lot of times I had to learn it because I hit that unrelenting wall of burnout, too much, broken moment because my neuroresilience levels were too low, or I thought I can handle this no problem, even though all the warning signs were there telling me to slow it down, start to say no, learn to hold boundaries. And for many of you, if you're a high achiever like me, the idea of saying no or I can't take on more is actually really, really disturbing to our systems. There's an identity crisis that goes on when we have to make this shift. And it's not that we can't handle it, it's that we're managing it in a way that our bodies are not healthy because of it. So, what I want for you is to learn how to increase your neuroresilience score, how to feel better physically, how to experience more joy, how to accomplish more with less resistance. And resistance isn't always helpful into building and strengthening when you're doing it the wrong way. When you learn how to build that strength and that neuroresilience score, doing things the right way with proper form emotionally, you'll be able to lift more weight with fewer issues. You'll be able to manage what's going on. You'll know when to ask for help and where to get it. You'll know how to get support. I can't tell you the number of women who come to us and start working with us, and one of their number one issues is they don't feel that they're supported. They don't have the right support. And one of the number one challenges for those women is they don't even know how to, one, ask for support, and even if they do, they don't know how to receive it. Let me get super clear about that. They complain that they don't have support, but they're either challenged with the idea of asking for support. They don't even know how to do it. And even if they do, they don't even know how to receive the support once they get it. Because there's a block, there's a trauma, there's a defense mechanism set up that they don't even realize is there that's stopping them from even receiving the support once it's in front of them. This is actually part of your ability to be more neuroresilient, knowing how to ask for and receive the right support so that you're not struggling and that you're not forcing all the time. And for those of us who are hyper controlling, those of us who became hyper independent, these are defense mechanisms. These are trauma responses that most of us learned really early on in the game, typically before we were 7 years old, because there was some sort of issue, some sort of perceived trauma that occurred that caused us to feel like if we weren't in control all the time, if we didn't have a say in everything that was happening, then we were not safe. We were in danger. So you start to see this response. And what's interesting is it goes hand in hand for most people who are high achievers. They have this defense mechanism that doesn't allow them to receive help, but that's where they get stuck, and that's where they hit a block, they hit a wall, they struggle at some point because that no longer serves them. It may have gotten them to this point, but it's not going to get them to the next point. In fact, it's working against them at some point. So what I want for you is to learn what are some of those resistance points? What are some of those moments where it's a defense mechanism that's kicked in, a trauma response is kicked in, which won't get you to the next level of where you really want to be, experiencing joy, feeling better physically, accomplishing more with the least amount of resistance. It's within your ability to be more neuroresilient where you're able to do this. So I'm going to give you some insight on something that's happening that we're just about to launch, and it's not even out publicly yet, but we're doing an event called the 2-day recharge event. It's going to be up soon. It is almost available, but if you're interested, it's going to be a 2-day event completely in person. You're not doing any of this online, none of it. Because truly, you will get more out of those 2 days by being with us physically in the event space in Scottsdale, Arizona, than us trying to do this online. It's going to be an immersive event with me for 2 full days, taking you through an experience to get you from where you are now and really seeing the bridge, the understanding, the tools and the support that you need to get you to where you want to be. You're going to have immersive experiences. I'm going to show you tools, techniques. I'm going to show you where to find and even identify and surface some of your underlying blocks that are stopping you from having the brilliant neuroresilience response that you can have. It's going to be a very limited amount of people in this event so that we can go deep and we can get the most out of these 2 days. So as soon as I release this, you need to grab your space for this. If you're interested now and you're like, whoa, I don't want to miss this, I don't want to make sure I get my ticket, make sure you email us at support@nourish123.com. And I will make sure that my team sends you information on the details. But right now it's going to be in October, the 25th and 6th is going to be in Scottsdale, Arizona. And we have a very limited space. So a very limited number of people who can be at this event, but it is going to be something that you haven't experienced before. I can tell you that. My team and I are working hard on this. Every little detail is being looked at to make sure that as you go through this experience, you're going to understand where to uncover the blocks and the resistance that you have that you may not even realize are there. And the chances are high that you're blocking it from seeing it yourself. Where to find them, how to surface them, what to do with it once you see it, and how do you gain more neuroresilience so that you can be stronger, more effective, more balanced as you move into this next brilliant phase of who you are and where you want to be. All right, so if you're interested, I want you to go to support@nourish123.com, shoot an email over to my team, let them know that you're interested and you want more details the second that they come out, because we are focused on this event. Very limited number of spaces available, and we already have people who are telling us they're taking space, and we haven't even put it out there yet. All right, so I want you to start thinking about neuroresilience. Where am I blocking myself and my ability to navigate obstacles, use them in my favor, regulate my emotions, maintain the highest level of well-being that I can have? And where am I maybe just repeating patterns that are keeping me stuck? And I don't even realize that they're there because perhaps I don't even see them. 2, I don't know how to ask for help. 3, I don't know how to receive the help once I get it. Or simply, I just don't have the tools to be able to see it for myself because I'm blocking my ability to see what's stopping me. All right, so 2 days recharge event for women. We're going to be doing this in Scottsdale. If you're a high performer and you just don't have the luxury of burning out, this is the event for you. So shoot an email over to support@nourish123.com and we will chat more about the details. Otherwise, have a good rest of your day. Start thinking neuroresilience and how you can really up-level and live the